Chinese hackers infiltrate Japanese military networks. Still more people missing or displaced as heavy rains continue to hammer China's northeast. Inescapable. Bankers forced to study Xi's thoughts as party tightens grip. Experts are analyzing the intent behind Beijing's request for nationwide reporting on espionage. Chinese military hackers successfully infiltrated classified defense networks in Japan, obtaining crucial information about the Allies' military capacities and strategies. The Washington Post reported on August 7th that the National Security Agency, or NSA, first detected the intrusion in the autumn of 2020. The hack was described as deep and persistent, with hackers identified as cyber spies from China's People's Liberation Army, gaining access to sensitive data, including Japan's military plans and assessments of weaknesses. The Chinese cyber attack on Tokyo's defense networks was characterized as one of the most severe breaches in Japan's modern history. Following the hack, the heads of the NSA traveled to Japan to brief the country's defense minister. Subsequently, they were requested to directly inform the Japanese Prime Minister about the breach. While the hacking campaign began during the Trump administration, it extended into the Biden administration. In 2021, new evidence emerged, indicating ongoing breaches of Japan's defense systems and a lack of progress in stopping the leaks. To address the issue, the US and Japan collaborated on a solution. They engaged a Japanese commercial firm to assess vulnerabilities, with the findings then reviewed by a team from the US NSA and Cyber Command. Recommendations were made on addressing and rectifying any identified gaps in security. To strengthen its network security, Japanese authorities intend to bolster their military cybersecurity force by adding 4,000 personnel, with a budget of $7 billion over the next 5 years. Additionally, Japan has launched a cyber command responsible for round-the-clock surveillance of the country's networks. The Chinese cyber intrusion is part of a growing trend of state-sponsored hacking from China, significantly expanding its cyber capabilities. In recent incidents, China-based hackers accessed the email accounts of approximately 25 organizations, including U.S. government agencies. Targets included officials at the U.S. State Department and the Commerce Department, such as Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo and the U.S. Ambassador to China. Moreover, China's cyber activities have extended to critical infrastructure, including transportation, communications, and utility systems. Microsoft reports stealthy and targeted cyber activities aimed at gaining unauthorized access to these sectors in the US are all attributed to state-sponsored actors based in China. The remnants of Typhoon Doksuri continued to cause heavy rain over the weekend in northeastern China, increasing damage to the Chinese people. According to AP, 6 people have died, and 4 are missing in Shulan in Jilin province, where heavy rains persisted for days. In this city of more than 700,000 people, more than 18,900 people were evacuated. Average rainfall reached almost 4.5 inches, or 111.7 millimeters, on August 4th. China is facing 2 contrasting situations. On the one hand, grappling with record rainfall in some areas, while others suffer from the scorching summer heat, and where crops suffer drought conditions. Heavy rains following Typhoon Doksuri have ravaged northern China since late July, disrupting the lives of millions. Over the past week, flooding near Beijing and neighboring Hebei province has killed at least 22 people. In the northeastern province of Heilongjiang, known as China's Northern Great Granary, heavy rains flooded farms and streets, forcing thousands to evacuate. In Shangji, heavy rains turned roads into rivers and flooded thousands of households. In Heilongjiang's capital, Harbin, more than 53,000 people were evacuated, as many reservoirs and rivers exceeded safe levels, while about 103,000 acres, or 41,600 hectares, of crops were damaged. In the city of Youshu, in Jilin province, about 75 miles, 120 kilometers south of Harbin, floods forced about 19,000 people to evacuate. Meanwhile, adjacent to Beijing, Hebei province has seen some of the worst flooding in its region during the past few weeks. Local authorities on August 5th said the death toll in Baoding City had reached 10. while 18 others were still missing. The actual number of deaths due to the floods could be substantially higher, as the CCP has, in the past, underreported deaths to save face. Floods damaged roads and destroyed bridges in the city's famous Yusanpo scenic area. Xi Jinping thought is required reading within the party and China's government, but also has become compulsory for employees at many state-owned and private sector companies. Bloomberg reported on August 8th that the Communist Party leader's thought is becoming inescapable for bankers and business people nationwide. Regulators have invited staff members at multinational companies, including BlackRock Inc., the world's largest fund manager, to attend lectures on the topic. The study sessions, which some people perceive as time-consuming chores, highlight the growing importance of ideology in China, as Xi attempts to expand the party's control over many facets of local life, including a corporate sector chastened in recent years by a series of government crackdowns. According to a person familiar with the situation, one of the top investment banks in the country, China International Capital Corp, had to step up efforts to study Xi thought in recent months, as authorities were dissatisfied with their learning outcome. A second source said the state-owned Bank of Communications Co. had held monthly study sessions across all departments since late 2022. Participants are expected to express their understanding and assess how it can affect the financial sector. According to a release by the organizer Shanghai Asset Management Association, representatives from onshore operations of foreign asset managers, including BlackRock, and employees of a minority-owned venture by Franklin Templeton, joined with over 3,000 employees from more than 70 fund houses to attend an event in late June. They heard a lecture on sticking to the party's leadership in the industry. Some staff at a state-owned energy company in Beijing claimed they were forced to undergo impromptu training during working hours. Such sessions, which frequently focused on Xi's most recent remarks, were held in an isolated facility, with mobile phones sometimes confiscated. That made it difficult for coworkers to reach them in case of a work-related emergency. Some bank executives and business leaders must devote around a third of their working hours to studying Xi's thought, participating in activities and courses, or reading 4 books from Xi every month. Attendance is mandatory this year, and they must submit papers summarizing what they have learned. Some people are particularly concerned about the impact on productivity, at a time when economic growth is routinely falling short of expectations. Even while studying Xi Jinping thought is unlikely to be included in any official economic models, it is a sign that the administration has elevated politics above all other considerations. Victor Xi, an associate professor at the University of California, San Diego, specializing in the politics of China's banking policies, said, "Every hour workers spend doing something else is an hour they aren't doing their jobs." Jiwu Chen, a professor of finance at the University of Hong Kong Business School, commented that the Chinese Communist Party has been considering politics should be first and foremost on everybody's mind, not economic benefits, not economic profits. Starting from August 1st, following the formal enactment of China's counter-espionage law on July 1st, the public WeChat account of China's National Security Bureau has been consistently sharing content such as "Countering espionage requires societal mobilization," and a range of articles elaborating on the revisions to the counter-espionage law, endorsing ways and avenues to report espionage. Specific evaluations propose that this could constrict civil liberties, enabling the communist regime to amplify its control over society. China's National Security Bureau has issued a directive urging citizens to diligently adhere to the counter-espionage law and participate more actively and cooperatively in detecting and handling espionage, as all individuals must protect national security through well-defined legal provisions. The intention is to establish a comprehensive framework for defense against espionage and a safeguard network, reinforcing propaganda and education against espionage. Simultaneously, functional bodies must develop mechanisms to incorporate the general public into counter-espionage efforts, setting up discrete channels to report actions endangering national security, and handling phone calls, letters, online platforms, and other reports, while rewarding individuals and organizations for their contributions. Lai Jianping, an international master's student at China University of Political Science and Law, conveyed to Xinhuang Zhisheng Radio on August 3rd. The revised counter-espionage law has broadened the interpretation of espionage offenses. The distinction between guilt and innocence. This offense and others becomes blurred. It means that it can be arbitrarily structured, turning espionage charges into bag crimes. Any speech and actions disliked by the Chinese Communist Party will be penalized without specific charges, utilizing the counter-espionage law. A Chinese-Canadian writer, Sheng Xue, said introducing the counter-espionage law and its operational instructions unveiled Xi Jinping's apprehension. Incidents such as the Qingang affair and recurrent events involving Missile Corps leadership indicate Xi's lack of trust. She asserts that the reporting stipulation under the counter-espionage law aims to instigate a sense of insecurity among individuals. She highlights, there is a complete absence of trust among people. This reporting approach will unquestionably yield a substantial adverse impact on society. Consequently, it aspires to significantly obstruct resistance forces, acts of resistance, expressions, and other concerns. Because under the manipulation of the Chinese Communist Party, certain individuals within Chinese society will undertake such actions, coupled with a comprehensive system of rewards and penalties. Numerous individuals will experience heightened life pressures, culminating in a despair, hence becoming instruments of the Chinese Communist Party. Lai Jianping further underscores that mutual reporting among individuals reverses the approach of the Chinese Communist Party. He states, the Chinese Communist Party has conducted internal political purges and engaged in external diplomatic confrontations, resulting in global isolation. Amid internal and external upheaval, the authoritarian regime of Xi Jinping and the one-party dictatorship of the Chinese Communist Party have encountered challenges. Consequently, the Chinese Communist Party conflates the party's power crisis with a national crisis, informing citizens that espionage jeopardizes national security. Covert police presence is extensive nationwide, urging citizens to inform on one another, to bolster societal control. He adds, further constricting citizens' living space will disproportionately favor the authoritarian regime. This could lead to a serious issue where the entire nation undergoes a chilling effect. Many will become apprehensive, further isolating themselves, and individuals will be reluctant to form casual associations. Foreigners will also exhibit hesitance in visiting China. Foreign investors will display reluctance in investing in China. Foreign investors who have already invested in China will expedite their withdrawal due to safety concerns. The nation's image will significantly deteriorate. The world recognizes that China is regressing towards the Cultural Revolution path, thereby intensifying global apprehensions towards this authoritarian regime and nation. Sheng Xue underscores, throughout the history of the Chinese Communist Party, the essence of its authoritarian governance and its totalitarianism has remained constant. Many of its measures, including reforms and openness, essentially serve to rescue the party, not the nation.